It's going down. It's going down. It's going down today. Oh, it's so good to see y'all's faces. I'm so excited. You are listening to 9:10 a.m. the Superstation, and we got issues out of WFDF out of Detroit. And here we are. So happy to be back with you again, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And our tribe is gathering. We're gathering for another conversation. There's a lot going on, you guys. There's a lot going on. And so the energy is needed. The outlook on life is needed. The gathering of the tribe is needed. We really need each other more now than ever before. Man, did we get socked today on the news with the news coming out of Afghan. The saddest thing, one of the things I was thinking about when we got socked with that news is the fact that they said it was going to happen. The intelligence said it was going to happen. So grateful for the intelligence that they said it was going to happen, but no idea how bad it was going to be. No idea. So many of our military were going to get, so many of their family members were going to get hurt by this, killed, maimed. It's so very, very sad. The news over and over and over again. And then the other thing that just takes me down is that they don't know what tomorrow will bring. We don't know what tomorrow will bring. And they say what happens in Afghanistan, it's just going to trickle over. So that immediately puts fear into you and stress into you. And you're looking at the news, and then you don't want to look at the news. And then you want to look at the news, and then you don't want to look at the news. And now we're like so hard because, right now the president's addressing everybody like right in this moment. So we're missing that piece of it. But I'm going to go across the room. I always go from the east to the west. To my girl, Caterina Harris Earl with the funky earrings on. Caterina, how you doing today?
The same as you were saying, Gloria, just, excited for another day and get the news. You don't want to listen every day, but it's something new and major every day up in these parts. And the thing that I wanted to say yesterday that I didn't say is what we haven't even talked about is all those people in one location, and we still have COVID on top of that. Like, no one over there is wearing a mask. Nobody's wearing a mask. So, we got to welcome all these refugees, but are all those refugees bringing COVID, or are we giving them COVID, or are they, maybe there's no COVID over there. I mean, so, we just layer on
they're
top
not even
of layers.
talking about that, Caterina. They're not even talking about that. They're not even part of the conversation.
Not even. I mean, because Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When you're fighting for your life, you're not even thinking about a mask, because who cares? So I'd rather, you don't want to have either, but at least we're in a place where we're free, right? So, yeah, but nobody's even talking about that. They're fighting for their lives. So we just continue to pray. And the thing that I haven't even really talked about is we have members of our underground church that have ministries over there. There are a lot of underground churches that do ministry, and those would be among some of the people that are not right in. I mean, there's so many people that are not right near that airport. So we just pray, just continue to pray. So yes, right. Chris. Okay.
Hey, everybody. I am excited to be here on today. Hey, it's a lot going on in Detroit. We just found out the other day, and you guys probably watched it all unfold. And this is probably took place early, right after the pandemic hit, and our governor, Gretchen Whitmer, from Detroit, she did the shutdown of a lot of places just because, at the beginning, COVID was just running rampant. And do you guys remember the guys that had plotted to kidnap her? Do you guys remember that?
Oh, I do.
Yeah, so absolutely. They are being brought to justice. The first one, he's only 25 years old. His name is Ty Garvin, 25 years old. He got sentenced, you guys, he got 75 months, which is like 6 years, and a $2,500 fine for, being a part of the plot. And this is the thing. That's 6 years, but he got that sentence because he was the first one to plead guilty. And you better know he is singing up a storm. So they're using him as a witness to
Chris,
testify.
Because I didn't think that was many years for what he had tried to do. But now that you identified that he did the bargaining, that's why they got so many more people.
They say the first one that sings gets the deal. And so can you imagine? I mean, because they were, just trying to say, well, it really wasn't a plot, but he knows everything about how it all went down and how it was planned. And it was serious. This was no joke. This wasn't something that they were just dreaming about doing. They had actually put things in place for this to take place. So I'm just so glad, they say the wheels of justice turn really, really slow, but I'm really, really glad that these individuals are going to have to pay for what they wanted. Because can you imagine living in a country where people can plot and do all these things and then just get a slap on the wrist?
Right. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So that was good.
We've seen it happen.
My ears. Huh?
I said, we've seen it happen. We know several people.
Oh, yeah, we've seen it. We absolutely have seen it happen. But you know what? I really think, the government is not playing, especially with this administration, when it comes to people threatening, politicians' lives. And, can you imagine the stress that Governor Whitmer went through with her family, her children? I mean, just imagine how she felt with that kind of threat out there. So it's going to be interesting to see how many years these other individuals, over 12, you guys, that was plotting. So that's some good news that they have been apprehended and they're waiting on their day in court. So lots more to talk about, but I'm going to throw it over to our girl, Sabrina Goodwin. Monday hair slamming on that.
What you getting ready for? What you getting ready for? Don't even try it. Don't even try it.
Oh, girlfriends, it's so good to see you guys. You guys bring so much joy to my life. I thank you to see bright, shiny, beautiful, smart women. You just bring so much light, love, laughter, and lessons to myself and to the world. Thank you for being part of the FOF, Force of Friendship. Thank you to our tribe who joins us every day, seeing what we got to talk about today. It's always something, because when I tell you we got issues, we got issues. Yeah. Crisette got issues. Gloria got issues. Caterina got issues. Sabrina got issues. Our world got issues, and you got issues. If you listen, you got some issues. And so we're here with the good doctor today, and we're excited to have him. Just talked to a girlfriend today. Her 10-year-old was diagnosed with COVID, no taste, no smell. And half the 5th grade class has it. Yeah, 10 years old. And it's just rampant, you guys. They're talking about closing one of our elementary schools totally down in the area because it is the virus is running rampant. So that between that and the 2 bombings in Kabul, I mean, my goodness. But did you guys hear the president? The president spoke just a minute ago, and he said, "We will not forgive. We will not forget. And we will hunt you down. Whoever was responsible for this, we're hunting you down." But I was like, wow, those are really strong words. He said, "We will not forgive." Mm-hmm. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So lots going on. I'm not sure how this is going to end. We have to be prayerful. We have to be mindful. I know people are on 2 different sides of the fence. We shouldn't have pulled out. We should have pulled out a long time ago. Right. If we didn't pull out now, then when? I know that's another story for another day. Right. Steph Curry.
It was interesting that we tried to bring that topic to bear, and people were tiptoeing. They didn't want to talk about it yet.
We tried to get some military personnel. They didn't want to come on. But it has to be talked about. And then Steph Curry's parents. Married 33 years.
Steph Curry.
Married 33 years, divorcing. I mean, Steph, NBA, his brother in the NBA, their other daughter is married to an NBA ball player. 33 years of greatness, done. And he says she was having an affair. She says he been having affairs. So here we go. So she's supposed to
be like R. Kelly to me. Sound like R. Kelly. That's the kind of conversation you have before you go into the R. Kelly, who's right now in court fighting right now. All
Yeah,
the women who
yeah,
said
yeah.
no, and then they said yes, yes. Oh my goodness, it's a hot
Yeah,
mess out there.
yeah, yeah.
Hot mess.
So she's supposed to be dating a ex-ball player, New England Patriots. You know, he's the vanilla persuasion, and so that's who she's dating now. So you know, there is a lot of drama, and it's National Dog Day. That's right, Drea. National Doggy Day today. So let's give a shout out to Rio and all of his friends.
Where is Rio?
With the Force of Fresh Air. Girl, he being a little uppity today. He's upstairs with his daddy. She's like, I ain't trying to deal with you women and y'all's issues today. Okay, so he's somewhere else.
He knows
So
we're gonna give
we're
him
back
love.
to you.
Oh, well, I'm excited. I'm excited. Let's bring in the good doctor. Let's bring in the good doctor because I'm excited. Yes, Dr. Payne. We are so excited. Okay, let me give you guys a 411 on Dr. Payne. I call him Boots because he's literally my cousin, and I'm so excited. So excited, you guys. He is fire. When we had the conversation before we came on live today, we were laughing, and he's fire. But the reason that I've so wanted to have him on the show for so many times, y'all, seriously, when COVID first hit, you know, back in the day when I was at Walmart telling everybody, go get cash because the ATMs aren't going to give you the money. Go get your cash. I mean, when we first started buying stuff from Walmart, he was the one sending out the first emails to the family. And it sounded like this. This is not what he said, but this is what it sounded like. Look at here, look at here, look at here, people. Look at here, look at here, look at here, look at here. Listen to me, people. Listen. This is real. Get yourself together. Stop talking. Get yourself together. So then, you guys know I had something at my house a couple of weeks ago, and he was the only one that I would listen to. Like, tell me the truth. Like, what is going on? There's so much information. So we thought we'd bring in the good doctor. First thing I said to him, you know, y'all can tell by his eyeballs he went to Howard, right? Y'all can tell by his eyeballs that he's HBCU. You know that.
Ain't you?
And so I wanted him first to talk about himself, because we had this conversation where I asked my guests to brag about themselves, because I think the community needs to know who's in the community and how we can help each other in the community. And then we're going to have an opportunity for our tribe and everybody. You guys can call in at 313-778-7600 to ask the good doctor some really good questions. So before we go to break, Boots, Dr. Payne, would you please tell them exactly who you are and what you've done and a little bit about why you're so passionate right now?
Thank you, Gloria. First of all, I want to thank God for setting this up. We're here because of the glory of God and His mercy and grace. So I just really, truly, want to thank Him for allowing me to be here. Briefly, my name is Brownell Payne. I'm a physician in Los Angeles, and I was raised in Indianapolis, Indiana. Every summer, I would go up to Detroit and kick it with my cousins up there, and we would go up to northern Michigan and partay. And I remember this is really, I'm old as the hills and twice as dusty, but I do remember certain things. I remember there was a song out called, you remember a song, and it was Beechwood 45789. You can call me on the phone any old time. I learned that song kicking it with Gloria and my cuz up in Detroit. You know, when I remember that I can sing it so well. So they were a little younger than me, but I remember that song from Motown, Beechwood 45789. You can call me on the phone any old time. Anyway,
I remember that song.
So I went to undergraduate school and graduate school at Howard University. Go Bisons. And really had an opportunity to really know what Blackness was. And I went to medical school, University of California, San Francisco, which is a predominantly white medical school. And I was in the first large minority class. But glory be to Howard. Howard prepared me. Howard and all black school prepared me exceptionally well to go to one of the best medical schools in the country. But I was well prepared. Just like people go to Morehouse and Hampton and Southern. Those black universities prepare us to get out into the world and deal with the man. So I was in the first large class of med students there. I finished in the early 70s, middle 70s. Then I was really simple. I just wanted to be a pediatrician working in a small Midwestern town, making $75,000 a year, driving a Chevrolet and having 2.5 kids, which is the national average. That's all I wanted to do in life. What the hell am I doing in LA? But anyway, originally, so I came to LA and did a year of pediatrics. Then I got called to the military because I was at Howard and I was in ROTC. And so I figured when I went in the military, of course, I'll be doing pediatrics, right? And they said, "Oh no, Holmes, we don't need pediatrician. We need combat surgeons." So believe it or not, I went from being a pediatrician to a combat surgeon for the Green Berets. I spent 2 years,
Wow.
2 years as a paratrooper,
For the Green Beret?
skier, scuba diver. I was going the whole Green Beret training with the paratrooper to scuba school, ski school, and was a combat physician. We had missions in, quote, Eastern Europe, North Korea, Africa. I went with them everywhere clandestinely. I did that for 2 years in my late 20s and really matured me as a physician. So I finished up with the military. Obviously, I lived, even though every day I thought I was going to die. And I came back to Los Angeles, completed my pediatric training. Then I went over to UCLA and did a anesthesia resident. And then I went back to LA Children's and became a pediatric anesthesiologist. And really, God has been so grateful. I have to keep on mentioning his name because that's just the way a TI is. Okay, I'm so grateful. And so I really had a great excitement. But about 7 or 8 years ago, I decided to do some general practice work because I really medicine really is about not making money. It's about serving people, serving our people. So I started to branch out and doing some general medical practice, speaking to seniors and community leaders about sickle cell disease and a host of all the problems that we came up with. And just got really excited about going to churches and community centers and then speaking about any medical topic that the hood wanted me to discuss. Now, all of us are, as you know, well-educated, and we know, all of us, all 5 of us, we know how to talk to the man when we have to talk to the man. As I say, I know how to put on my UCLA lingo, but at the same time, I have to be able to survive in the hood. And so I really learned how to speak to our people in their own layman's terms, because our folks don't understand 50-cent words. They don't understand complicated stuff. They don't understand cholesterol. They understand good and bad cholesterol. They understand sugar in the blood. Rather than diabetes. They understand those kind of things. So, in order to go into the community and discuss medicine, you have to be on our people's level, and you have to learn how to do that because as Black people, we've been mistreated when it comes to medicine. I mean, put aside the Tuskegee experiment. Just go now to any Black community or brown community and see how underserved we are in terms of medicine. And even they recently did a study, a COVID study. They went to Prince George's County outside of DC. A very upscale portion of Prince George's County is middle to upper class Blacks. But they had their level, their stress level, their percentage of COVID infections, their percentage of hypertension, high cholesterol, obesity was a lot higher than Caucasians in the same income bracket. All of them, despite their 10-room houses.
We're going to come back to that in a second. We're going to come back to that because we got to go to our commercial break right now. And when we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about your wrestling background that got you to HBCU, because we talked about that. Yeah, so he knows about Kenny and all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to come back to some questions about COVID. I'm real excited about that. We're going to go to our hard break that we have right now, pay some bills, like they say. And then we're going to come back to 9:10 a.m. the Superstation, because we got issues. Yes, here we go. Here we go.
Hey, you guys, great day, great day. It's so good that we are with you on today. And wow, what a great conversation this is going to be. You guys know it's been almost a little over 7 months, and it's almost impossible that every show we haven't had some kind of conversation about COVID. And, of course, there was, right in the, let's see, when we came on, right in February, no, we came on in March, it was still raging. And we were really in the midst of, trying to get, should I get the vaccine? Should I not get the vaccine and whatnot? And so, we were so hoping that, the majority of Americans would make a decision to get the vaccination so that we could turn the corner. And I know a lot's been said about herd immunity, and that's absolutely a question that I'm going to ask the good doctor, Dr. Payne, today. What is this herd immunity? Because to me, it seems like, especially in a lot of the southern states, like Florida and Texas and Louisiana, a lot of those states, their governors are just totally against having a mask mandate. And now I believe Louisiana and so many of those states that did not have a mask mandate, their COVID cases are out of control. And so I just don't know how you can care for your people and tell them, open up schools and the parents can choose whether or not to wear a mask. And then you open up the schools and find out, a few 3 days later, less than a week, they got to shut it down because so many people have caught the virus, have tested positive for COVID. So you guys, we're going through a tough time situations. And now with the Delta variant, my husband we were just talking the other day, and one of his good pastor friends, totally vaccinated, rode to a funeral with his cousins that weren't vaccinated. And guess what? He has COVID now. Fortunately, he's not having major symptoms because he was vaccinated. But do you know how many people are out there that are not vaccinated? So call in and ask.
Yeah, Kevin.
We want to know. We want to know what's going on with this Delta variant.
Kevin, you got the beat now. Look at that. Kevin got the beat. He's all up in the groove. National Dog Day. You found the perfect song, Kevin. We love y'all at 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. We absolutely do. Okay, so before we go back to anything, Dr. Payne got to college on a wrestling scholarship. Sabrina's husband, first Black gold medalist in the sport of wrestling. He said the only sport he loves is wrestling. And then I told him about how Quincy is at Princeton right now, headed to med school. So we had that whole conversation. Too much connection. So what made you go into wrestling, Dr. Payne? What made you go in there?
Well, because to be honest with you, my father had 5 sons, and I grew up in Indiana, so basketball and football was king. And my father had 5 sons. I turned out to be the smallest, even though I was the second oldest. But I really wanted to play football and basketball. And I said, Pops, I got to play football and basketball. He said, son, he put his arm around me. I said, you're going to be a little too small. I said, oh, Pops, my feet are big. I'm going to grow into my feet. I'm going to be about 6'2", 220. I'm going to be the baddest black halfback and shoot the shot just like Oscar Robertson. Son, we need to figure out some sports that you can deal with people yourself. Dad, come on. And so he said, son, we're going to run track, cross country, and we're going to wrestle. And we're going to take care of yourself. So that's how I got into wrestling, because my father was a realist. My little teeny ass, my little teeny self did not need to be playing football, and even though I could dribble and shoot the hoop,
wait, before you go, Sabrina has to go really quickly. And I want to get in here really quickly because she's going to have to check off in just a second. So Sabrina, just talk for a second about that whole scenario, how the wrestling has prepared Quincy for med school. And did you have a question about COVID? Because I know you have to go.
Yeah, Dr. Payne, thank you for joining the family. Oh my goodness, it's so good to have a family member in the tribe who's going to tell us the real deal. And wrestling background, that is exciting to us. And so that very smart that your dad said, you know what, you're going to wrestle because that's where we can find you some money. Did anybody else wrestle in your family, or how did you learn the sport?
Oh yeah, actually, believe it or not, at the same time I was on the varsity, I have two younger brothers that were identical twins, and all three of us were on the wrestling team at one time. And so it was kind of nice. And I pointed out one of the best things as a child in any sport you're competing in. I really want to emphasize to all the parents that it's so powerful to look up in the stands and see your mother or your father there, regardless of what the outcome is. Parents should attend the sporting events because there were days when all three of us would win. There were days when we would lose. But one thing that was consistent, to look up in the stands and see your parents there. So all of the brothers and sisters that got kids competing, you want to be there. Someone needs to be there to watch your son compete because sometimes they lose. And the best thing with tears in your eyes when you lost, and look up there, there's pops, there's moms, clapping their hands and loving on some boots. Okay.
Yeah.
So your son's going to Princeton. He's in.
Yeah.
I want to, just before we forget, make sure you hook up and get my phone number, because I want to talk to your son about medical school. I was in the first large minority class at UC San Francisco, powerful medical school, and there are tricks. A lot of people want to be doctors, a lot of smart kids, but there's a method to the madness. And he needs to speak to as many, Afro-American physicians that are there. And I'm offering my service. You get my phone number from Gloria.
Thank you, Dr. Payne.
I'm more than happy to talk to him. Anytime he wants to call, I can talk about medicine. Because medicine is a trip, and you need that additional support. I can tell him where to get in, how to get in, and what to do, okay?
Okay, Dr. Payne, we calling you today, okay? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Listen, you know what? We're going to go really quickly to this very serious topic. I love the way that you said this, Dr. Payne. Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. And right now we're trying to win as best we can with COVID-19. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about, the fact was, with this new Delta variant coming on, there's a lot of questions. And so I hope you guys have questions for the doctor, because there's a lot of false information that's out there, a lot of good information, but we have to stay vigilant. And we're so honored to have you here. We have a, Shamar is here as a caller. Let's see. Shamar, are you there? Shamar, are you still on the line? Okay. Well, before maybe she's going to come back, let me just say these eight things that they should know, and then Dr. Payne, I want you to respond to some of this. They said number one.
I want to say a few things about COVID.
Okay. The Delta variant is highly contagious. The Delta variant the symptoms are somewhat the same. They said the Delta variant is affecting unvaccinated people more. That we know that. The breakthrough cases for vaccinated people are rare, but it does happen. Delta variant could be catastrophic in some communities. Many unvaccinated patients with COVID-19 wish they had gotten the vaccine. Some experts are recommending to wear masks even if you're fully vaccinated. And more COVID-19 variants are likely to come. More are coming.
Yeah.
So, what is your highest message right now to the people?
Okay. Let me really be blunt about this. The Delta variant exists because, every living organism evolves with time, right? And the Alpha variant, the Alpha virus that first came here, really was given the chance to evolve to the Delta variant because people weren't vaccinated. Bottom line, okay? And what happens is that you get the Alpha variant, it gets in your body. If you're not vaccinated, that COVID-19 virus can stay in the body, evolve to the point where it's stronger and more aggressive. and that's the Delta variant. Okay, the Delta variant itself is just as susceptible to the vaccination as the Alpha. In other words, the Delta variant does not do well in a vaccinated person. It doesn't. So if whether you have Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson & Johnson, it can kick the butt of the Delta variant. But it's really simple. You have to be vaccinated. That's the problem. And see, what happens is that in the month of June and July, 99.4 of all the people died of COVID. And let's take July. 10,000 people died in America because of COVID. 99.4% of those people were unvaccinated. Totally unvaccinated. Wow. So we're getting to situations, the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. The vaccination whips the stuff out of the Delta variant. It kicks its butt. Now, here's the deal. What we're finding out, which is really important, and this is something they announced last week. The vaccines really have a limited lifespan. I was vaccinated in my second dose in early January. Every month I get tested, get a serum test, a little blood prick, a pinprick, and I check. When I was last tested in middle of July, I had strong IgG antibodies against COVID, very strong. Last week we were testing a group of seniors. We tested them all. 5 or 6 of them had no antibodies, even though they had vaccination 5 months ago. I sent them down the street to Walgreens to get the booster shot. At the end of the day, I said, okay, fine. It's time for me to check myself, like I do every month. So last Thursday, I checked myself with the nurse. I had no IgG antibodies. I was vaccinated 8 months ago. None, zip. I immediately went down to Wall Street, 2.5 blocks in the hood, and got me a booster shot. Now my levels are up. So here's the deal. Here's the real deal. Initially last week, they mentioned that starting September 30th, everyone who's had the vaccination get the booster shot if it's 8 months over. Now it's down to 6 months. I urge everyone, when you have the opportunity to get a booster shot. Now, if you are immune deficient, if you have HIV, or if you have a serious medical condition, immune condition or cancer or anything, you can get a booster shot now, free in most places. You need to get the booster shot. The only way that we're going to defeat this is being vaccinated. And right now we're at about 68% in this country. We might get to 75%, maybe, but the way things are going, just think, sure, 66% of the people have been vaccinated. That means 33% haven't been vaccinated.
What's herd immunity? What does the percentage need to be for herd? What's the percentage need to be to consider herd immunity?
Probably 80, 85. Really, honestly, if you're going to get it, that's what the world needs to get to. Remember, only 1% of Nigeria has been vaccinated. Okay, so but here's the problem: because these vaccinations really have a limited lifespan. When you can get the booster, you need to get the booster, whether or not you're symptomatic or not. Take it from me. I'm older, so sure, my immune system, the older you get, particularly as you pass 55 or 60, your immune system is not as effective than if you were 20 or 30. Now, when young babies, a 6-month-old kid has a better immune system than any 5 of us. But the problem with young babies and kids, when they get COVID, their body is so aggressive, it overreacts. And little babies, my granddaughter caught COVID when she was 4 or 5 months old. Fever every day for 4 months.
She did?
Rash and everything. And because her system was so powerful as an infant, it attacked COVID all over, but it damages it. Can't, not with her, but it can damage all the system. That's why kids have a syndrome called multi-system failure, because your system is so aggressive in killing COVID, it overreacts. So therefore, Boo Boo and Shanika, sitting on the corner who are not vaccinated, because see, we've been listening to Boo Boo and Shanika too long. Boo Boo and Shanika don't know Dooley, Scott. They just as bad as Jumbo, and they don't know anything. Boo Boo and Shanika said, yeah, they got a chip in that vaccination. They're gonna follow you. What's the best way for the government to follow you? Your cell phone. Your cell phone is everywhere. If they really want to contact you, they just use your cell phone. So don't worry about it. There's no chips in the vaccination. It's not a conspiracy. In order to beat this, still among Black and brown populations, we're low vaccinated percentage-wise. So we got to jump on that.
I want you to speak to the people who are concerned about their fertility. Like they want to have children later.
Okay.
Concerned about this.
Okay. There is zero connection between infertility and COVID. COVID vaccination will not cause you to be infertile at all. And a little step further, they are advocating that women who are pregnant get vaccinated. Just like they advocate, if you're pregnant, you really need to get the flu vaccine, because the flu itself will take a damaging toll on your unborn child and you when you're pregnant. So you need to get a flu shot if you're pregnant. They're also advocating pregnant women who are currently pregnant. They should also get a COVID-19. I have a daughter. My oldest daughter had her first child 22 months ago by IVF. When she was 45. In 3 months, she's getting another fertilized embryo implanted. She'll be 46, and she's excited. She's happy to have another kid, and she's already checked it out with the fertility doctor. The first thing they said, Leslie, for the first trimester, you're getting a COVID shot. Okay, so all these myths about infertility, et cetera, are just that. They are demonic myths and conspiracies. They need to be taken care of. You need to get vaccinated. The only way we're going to take care of this. And when you're not vaccinated, folks, you're being disrespectful to all of us who are vaccinated, particularly those over 65. If you're not vaccinated, you shouldn't kick it with your grandparents or Uncle Willie B. You certainly don't need to be kicking with Shanika and Boo Boo. You don't need to do all that. Okay. You need to, if you're not going to get vaccinated, you wear a mask, you keep your distance, and you stay away from the other folk. Stay away from them. Just out of respect.
Stay away from everyone.
Last night, I'm gonna tell you a brief short story. Last night, I worked at the hospital. I'm the respiratory care specialist at a hospital. I pronounced a 45-year-old person dead who had got COVID 3 months ago, has 4 children.
Wow.
And he's suffering all the side effects. Man. And finally, I did everything I could under the sun. And after he died, had to go out in the lobby and speak to his family, 45 years old. And his family said, God, I wish he had been vaccinated. But he wasn't vaccinated. And see, when you get to the hospital and you're sick with COVID, it's too late to be vaccinated. It doesn't work.
Right.
You got to be vaccinated. So I'm patient with people who are not vaccinated, but also I'm very firm. I said, you don't need to be kicking it with me unless you're vaccinated. Pure and simple. Yes, go ahead. Your question. Period. I apologize.
Dr. Payne?
Yes.
I have 2 questions, and there's 2 questions, and there's a question in the Facebook chat, and we definitely want to hear from our callers. Call us at 313-778-7600. This is a critical conversation. You are breaking it down, and we need it broken down so all of us can understand, and our cousins, Junebug, because we all got one. So my 2 questions are, what I had heard early on is that about the spike protein and how that reacts differently in Black folks. And I know that has been one conversation. Is there any truth to that? Am I even making sense of what I'm talking about? Folks were talking about most of the people that were tested way early on were white and Asian, and it reacted differently in our bodies. Is that totally false and fake? And is there any truth to the fact that there's the way this vaccine works is different and it impacts DNA? Are both of those just totally crazy sounding?
No.
Totally crazy. Okay.
Totally crazy. You know, those actually are rumors put out by the enemy. Okay, and you know who the enemy is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
absolutely.
Pure and simple. There's no truth to that. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. It's just used as a deterrent to scare our folks away from getting vaccinated. And also brown people and Hispanics are in the same boat we're in. That's another tool put out by the enemy, and we know who the enemy is. Okay? It doesn't work. It's not true.
Dr. Payne, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
We'll come back to Linda's. Okay, Linda's question. She says, I have a question for Dr. Payne. She is a four-year food, whole food, plant-based, no prescriptions, great medical numbers, have had the COVID shot. She's a 68-year-old female. Should she be concerned about the booster shot? I think I know your answer.
How old is she?
She's 68 years old. 68 years old.
Yeah, you know, she should be, because what we're advocating, when did you have your vaccination?
Okay, please type that in, Linda.
Vaccinated?
Please type that in. She'll type that in. She's on Facebook, so we're asking Linda to type that in while we go to you, Chris.
Okay, so Dr. Payne, thank you so much for enlightening us on today. You are breaking it down, my brother. Thank you for being here. So I have a couple of questions. My first question is, with the vaccine, is there any COVID within the vaccine? You know how they say when you get the flu shot, there's a certain amount of flu that's in the vaccine, and some people end up getting the flu when they get the flu shot. So is it the same with the COVID, or is there none of the COVID virus in the vaccine?
No, there's not. No, there's not. Not really. No, that's not true. Some vaccines they give live portions of the vaccine or parts of the vaccine, and that creates a reaction, but not in the case of COVID. No, we're not really giving you the virus itself. You know, what it's doing is stimulating certain things to react and work to cause the production of the antibodies. Okay, but no, we're really not giving you the virus.
Okay, and
once again,
and that is easy. That's another rumor and falsehood that is out there, that the vaccine has some of the COVID virus in it. And then the last thing, and you pretty much have answered it. My dad, he is 93. He'll be 94 in October. He's fully vaccinated. He and I got it at the same time. His last vaccination was in early March. So we're right up against that 6 month, 7 month mark. So I believe you're saying go ahead and take him to get the booster, correct?
If you take him the day of tomorrow and said, my dad's 94 years old, he wants a booster, they'll give him a booster right off the bat. You have to remember, you can be active and healthy and alive and with no problems, and you're 94, 95. Here's the situation. A 90-year-old person or 80 or 70-year-old person, our immune system, our defense system is not as effective as someone who's 30, 40, 50, or 60. That's just the way it goes. So consequently, let's say you're 40 years old, you did a vaccination, and you're cool for 6 or 7 months. That might not be the case for the 90-year-old, okay, because his immune system is working overtime. Odds are he might have a little bit of rheumatoid arthritis, or he might have some cardiac problems, might have some cholesterol problems. Your immune system is working overtime to deal with all those multiple problems. So all of a sudden, and let's say that same person didn't get a flu shot, they have diabetes, they're a little overweight, they got cholesterol, they got rheumatoid arthritis. So your immune system is working overtime. All of a sudden, COVID eases into the lung and says, oh, Lord, look at here, look at here. The immune system is busy with diabetes, with cholesterol, with obesity, with arthritis, with sarcoidosis. I'm in like Flynn. So the COVID comes in there and attacks. Now, the vaccine targets the lung area particularly. So that's
what I wanted to ask you. Yes.
The virus kicks butt. It's really so the vaccine is targeted to protect the lung area. Now, if you took all 5 of us and did a swab in our nose, there's a possibility that 2 or 3 or 4 of us may will have the COVID vaccine, the COVID virus right there. Okay, but it doesn't affect it affects the lung. That's the primary attack area for COVID-19. I'm going to the lungs. So if you have the vaccination, your lungs are going to be okay. So a lot of us are walking around with the virus in our nose, and it's okay. Wear your mask, utilize social distancing, because if you don't, you're going to come across someone who's not vaccinated. And you talk, even though you're vaccinated and feeling good, you might be talking to the person who's not vaccinated, and you're going to give them something, and you're vaccinated, because you may well have it in your nose.
Wow.
It's 25. The Delta variant, Delta variant is 25 more times contagious as the Alpha variant. Now we have a new one called the Lambda variant. Lambda is beginning to kick a little butthole. It's kicking some butt.
Now,
it's going to be here.
From?
You know why? I forgot which area. It really doesn't make no never mind, as my grandmother said. Don't make no never mind.
Right.
Where it's coming from, it's here. And because the Delta variant has had plenty of time to reside in unvaccinated people, evolve just like man evolved, and just like any other species evolves, it builds defense mechanism. So the Delta variant becomes the Lambda variant, which is more contagious, but yet and still, the vaccination kills it just as quick. The Delta variant has no chance with the Lambda variant.
The Delta? Well, the Lambda
variant
be more contagious than the Delta?
The Lambda is going to be worse. It's going to be worse than the Delta. It's coming because those unvaccinated people have allowed the Alpha variant to become the Delta variant, and the Delta variant now is evolving into a much more dangerous animal. And then when you spread that evolved Delta variant, it's now the Lambda variant. Much more contagious.
Still, okay.
Oh, we all got questions.
Yo.
I was just.
Go ahead.
What's up,
I was going to say
ahead.
that my assistant's her son had the CDC and the WHO come to his house 2 days ago because he was diagnosed with a variant they are not familiar with. They said this is a new variant and they had not seen it, and they came to his house in California near Yosemite. So it's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's
happened.
Yeah, so basically, what you saw how quickly the Delta variant spread across this country in a short period of time. Yeah. And it's going to continue to do that, particularly, we have so many states we have states in the South that are 30 and 40% vaccinated. That's horrible. We had 2 doofus governors in Florida and Texas and Mississippi that are just saying ridiculous things. This is some bad stuff. But
I got a question.
If you are vaccinated,
so you're
going to make it. Yes.
Okay. So you're in front of a person, and sometimes they're saying, don't say the wrong thing because you'll push them in the other direction. But they don't get it. They're not vaccinated, and they're talking to you. What is the best thing that you can say to them so that they will turn around and get vaccinated? Do you have anything that's like?
Well, that unfortunately, you just got to continue to tell them to get vaccinated, and probably until a lot of young people are so healthy and see probably 50% of the positive cases of COVID-19 are asymptomatic. You have a lot of young people walking around that are not vaccinated but have no symptoms whatsoever, none whatsoever. So it only, when it really turns around, like for instance in California, last Friday before last, they mandated that every hospital, clinic, dental clinic, convalescent home, every employee has to be fully vaccinated by September 30th or get fired. And the 2 surgery centers in the hospital that I work at, we fired 3 people the other day because they said they would never get the vaccination. They're gone. Okay. And Delta, as you know, Delta Airlines as of yesterday, says if you don't get vaccinated, you have to take the test twice a week, and we have to have results 48 hours before you come to work. And we're adding on $200 to your premium or your healthcare premium because it costs money. The vaccination. It costs money to be sick because you didn't get vaccinated. It's not fair. Why should all of us who've been vaccinated, why should we pay huge amounts of money to take care of your trifling self because you won't get vaccinated? You get sick, you cost millions of dollars to get you better, and you infect other people. So I agree with Delta 100%. Whatever it takes to get everyone vaccinated. Sure, like in my surgery centers, both of them, when they came to work that day after the governor said you got to be, I said, look, you got to be September 30th. I said, but no, here's the deal. Dr. Payne says you got until August the 30th to be vaccinated. Otherwise, you gone. The next day, in one clinic, we had 4 people in vaccinated, another than 5. The next day, they're all vaccinated. They're all vaccinated. Just like that. Young people in their 20s, medical assistants, etc. Yeah, so you got to keep, what's going to happen as a business person, etc. You should not allow people. I know it's cold-blooded, but if you have a restaurant or a beauty salon, why would you allow someone to come in that's not vaccinated? That's going to kill your clients off. It's crazy. Yeah, it's cold-blooded. But you know something? They said, we take away my freedom. You're taking away my freedom when you infect me.
Right.
There goes my freedom and my freedom of life. God told me that, Payne, you're supposed to die at chapter 15, but you're on chapter 5. That's what God says. You're not supposed to be leaving here on chapter 5. You're supposed to go to chapter 15. I'm on chapter 5. So get away from me. No, you respect me. That's my freedom, is to be respected by you. Because those who are vaccinated, they know who they are.
That I always wanted to say. I always wanted to say to these parents who are saying, don't take away my freedom. Don't take away my freedom. And, I was at the table the other day and I was saying to her, do you know how much the government has come behind you and covered you up and you have no clue what they've done? The reason you can drive the car that you drive right now is because the government put things in place that each car has to make this standard or they cannot drive on the road or you would be dead. There's just so many things that they're all asking, like all of a sudden you're taking away your freedom. And all we're trying to do is give people an ability to have some freedom in any way, because like you just said, if another variant comes, we'll never be able to catch this thing. And this is just the US. What about all the other countries that are going to bring it back and forth?
Yeah.
It's going to be a problem. Yeah.
Dr. Go ahead, Chris, and then I'm going to jump back in, try to get in. Question.
I was going to say, with all of this back and forth with the schools, parents saying they don't want their children to have masks on in school. And then, literally, they're getting into these arguments that are becoming volatile because, they're so adamant about it. And so, you know what? I just kind of simplified it. Dr. Payne, I said, why don't we just do this? All of the parents that want to send their kids to school unvaccinated, have a school for all have a school for all kids that aren't going to wear masks, and then have a school for all the parents that want their kids in masks. The teachers that say it's my freedom not to wear a mask, go teach the students that aren't wearing masks, and then let the teachers that wear masks be with the students that wear masks. That's a very simplified, and I know it's probably not as simple as that, but you almost want to say, open up a school for people that don't want to wear masks, and then open up a school for those that want to wear masks, because it's ridiculous. They go to school and in 3 days they got to close the school.
Everybody got to go.
Thank you.
Yeah, my grandkids too. Literally 2 days later. I want to.
Go ahead,
Dr. Payne. I was gonna circle back. Linda said she was vaccinated in March. She's the 68-year-old that was asking the question, and then I want to ask, can you get checked to see what your antibodies are? Because you alluded to the fact that you were checked.
In fact, here's the deal. There are there's a very simple test that we do in our office. It gives you see, there's a couple of types of antibodies. There's when you first get any infection, let's say COVID, your IgM goes up for 5 or 7 or 8 days. Okay. When you get a vaccination, the antibody that counts is called an IgG. So when I got my vaccination, and my IgM went up, but 3 or 4 weeks later, my IgG goes up and stays up. So with a simple pinprick, really easy test, rapid response test, it will tell you if you have the appropriate amount of IgG, which is the long term, which all 5 of us have. It can tell you if you have IgM, which means if you got infected 3 or 4 days ago, your IgM is going to be there, and you might have an acute infection. It can tell you that. It can also tell you, like it's doing now, like when they tested me last week, I had no IgM, I had no IgG, which means that I wasn't acutely infected with anything, but also I had no protection. I had no IgG. And a month later, I had high levels of IgG. But my body had gotten to the point, okay, Payne, with your old dusty butt, that's it. You got to get another vaccination.
Yeah. Okay, so before we leave, because this has been so good. I mean, you brought the heat just like you did in those emails. I can't believe how your emails are just like you. This is so good. And Chris has a way for those of you that are in the Detroit area to take this seriously. Go ahead, Chris, with your announcement.
Yes. You guys, COVID-19 testing is going to be available on this coming Saturday at Greater Grace Temple from 10 a.m. until noon. It is absolutely free. So again, it is this Saturday, which is August the 28th, from 10 until noon. So if you have been vaccinated, go and get tested. And if you haven't, you absolutely need to get tested. Gloria?
Dr. Payne.
And when you tell them at August the 28th, you tell them that that's Dr. Payne's birthday. Do it for Dr. Payne's birthday on the 28th.
It's your birthday. No wonder you're so fired up. His mama, my daddy makes us cousins. So we're so excited. You are brilliant. We love you. You guys, we'll see you tomorrow, 6 to 7 p.m. at 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. Cuz we got issues. We love you guys.
Peace out.
Later.
Bye-bye.